Okay, game week, awesome time of the year. You know, felt odd Saturday after our mock game, going home and watching college football and not being part of it. So I'm not sure how the week 0 works, but obviously this is an exciting time for us, our fans, our students. You know, we've got a veteran opponent coming to town. You know, Rice is a team that has a great deal of experience. They're returning a lot of starters, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They got a quarterback who's played with a ton of experience. He's played here twice in his career. So, you know, they're hard-nosed, they're tough, they got very intricate schemes. So we have our work cut out for us from a preparation standpoint. I am excited that we get to have our fans back in DKR, our students. It's going to be an exciting time, great atmosphere. I know we're doing a couple cool things Saturday, you know, honoring Derek Johnson going into the Hall of Fame Saturday, honoring the '63 National Championship team Saturday. So those are all great events kind of surrounding the game. But for us, you know, it's about our preparation. And when we prepare our best, we got great energy every day we walk in the building, every day we go on the practice field. We've got really good focus and intent, and being intentional with what we're doing to get ourselves prepared for the ball game, and that's what it's going to take. You know, we get challenged by Rice two ways. You know, most notably, one, their style of play, like I said, is very intricate in all three phases. They got really good coaches, and then in which the way they play hard, they play tough. You know, they're relentless that way. So we've got our work cut out for us on that. As far as injury-wise, you know, the only one real thing right now is Mo Blackwell is going to be down a couple weeks. Everybody else on the roster will be available to us this week, which is a good thing. But at the end of the day, it comes down to our standard and the way we live and the way we go about it, and that's what this week's going to be no different. Today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then ultimately Saturday. We got to have great energy. We've got to play our style, which is aggressive, fast, physical. And then we got to be tough and we got to be smart. And so this is our first shot at putting all that together. And hopefully by 2:30 on Saturday, we'll be ready to go.
Okay, raise your hand if you have a question. We'll get a mic to you. Keep it to one question, please, so we can get through as many people as possible. Start with Danny over here on the left.
Steve, outside of a win, ideally, what do you want to see from your team in the season opener?
Well, I think, first of all, you think about first games. You know, and I watched them Saturday. I look at substitution errors. You know, you got 12 on the field, you got 10 on the field. I look at some of the pre-snap penalty things. I look at tackling. I look at our coverage units in the return game. We're seeing big returns this past weekend. So inevitably, you know, I want to see us execute. And all of that is kind of encompassed into that, whether it's pre-snap or post-snap. Our ability to execute, communicating really well, being on the same page, and then play our style of football.
On your right, Dennis.
Kind of along those same lines, position group-wise, you have very few concerns compared to the first couple of years going in. Is there one group, or is there something you got to see from a certain group that would alleviate some of those concerns?
Well, I think naturally, you know, when you lose two players in Bijan and Roshan who carried such a bulk of the load for us a year ago, what is that going to look like? How's it going to feel? And I think that's going to be a little bit of a process for us, and that's okay. I think that they've got great players around them. They don't have to go in and try to, you know, some superhuman effort. They just need to do what they've done throughout practice. And I think that we've got a good group there, but ultimately, you know, finding that out. You know, we got a glimpse of it in the bowl game. But I think now having a spring, a summer, a training camp to get themselves ready, I'm looking forward to watching that group play.
Over here on your left, Chip.
Steve, what separates Jonathan Brooks and C.J. Baxter right now, and what you know, in terms of the depth chart? When do you tell the guys who's going on?
Oh, they have a pretty good idea now. I mean, we're in game week now, so how we get our reps and how we practice is important. You know, they got to get the looks that they need. You know, I think a couple of things that those two guys provide is, there's physical stature and a running style of a physical nature. I think both those guys are not just physical at the point of attack, but they're elusive in the open field. They've got good pass receiving skills, and they're both very smart. And in our system, the running back, you know, his intellect is important, and both those guys are smart players.
In the middle, Bob.
Tavondre and Xavier both talked last week about what they're trying to become as leaders, and both of them talked about how they're a little looser and trying to keep the guys kind of laughing. How important is it early on to figure out the leadership now that you have a new team on the field, both from a loose and from a serious side?
Yeah, I think, that's always the challenge, and every year it's different. Every year the personality of your team is a little bit different, predicated on who are some of those guys that are the veterans, the older players that are a little bit more comfortable. But I think this, one thing about you can be loose, but when the ball's snapped, how do you play? And neither of those guys play a loose brand of football when that ball snapped. And they're very intentional. They're very smart players. They study. They know what to do, how to do, and why we're doing it. And inevitably, they don't want to where everybody's so tight they can't function, but yet they got to make sure we're honed in on our, crossing every T, dotting every I, and understand it. So to do it, they have to exemplify that. And I think that's something we've challenged our veteran players with your work ethic, the way you train in the weight room, the way we do our walkthroughs, the way we go about our scout periods, the way we go good on good, how we practice, how we prepare is going to serve as a model for how the younger players are going to do it moving forward. And I think that veteran group does that in a way to where our younger players recognize the importance of the little thing. And then when it's time to go play, trust your training. And that's when you can be a little bit more loose and a little bit more confident that you've put in the work to prepare to play well.
Stay in the middle, center.
Steve, along those lines, how did you challenge your older guys before camp? And did they meet those challenges to your satisfaction?
Well, I think it's kind of embodying the whole team, but they kind of get the brunt of it. I always try to talk to the older players a lot early on so that the younger players recognize we're coaching everybody. And the reality of it is, like I touched on at media days, we've put in a lot of work over 3 years, and those older players have been here for this journey. They've been here for 5 and 7. They were here a year ago after a couple tough losses, a couple big wins. And now, how do we want the movie to go this year? And then what are they willing to do to set the stage, to write that script so that movie can play out? And with that, you have to understand your footing. And like I touched on at media days, I get it, guys. We're the University of Texas. All right, we're not the fan favorite outside of the state of Texas. I recognize that. We're not the fan favorite when we get out of Austin. But there's a lot of pride in wearing this across our chest. And we need to recognize that. We need to, as I've said before, and I know we're going to probably get asked about it, we got to embrace the hate. Like you can't just sit back and keep taking punches and it's just okay. At some point, you have to go hunt. You have to punch back and you have to fight back, and that's what we're imploring our veterans to do, our leaders to do, is that every time we take the field, our opponent's going to get our best shot. We may get theirs, we may not. We can't control that, but we need to be sure that they get our best shot.
Steve, you talked about Mike Bloomgren's club and the fact that they're hard-nosed and tough. They use multiple fullbacks, tight ends. Is there anything that Rice does offensively that may possibly prepare you for what you may see next week against Alabama?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like I said, they got great schemes. Coach Bloomgren and his staff do a tremendous job in all 3 phases. They're going to tax you. They're going to try to exploit your weaknesses like any good coaching staff would. So we need to prepare for what they're going to provide and get ourselves ready to play.
Back in the middle by the cameras. Noah?
Hey, Coach, early season last year, you were talking to your players about you only get 13 or so opportunities, so many at home. Do you feel that sense of urgency now that it's game week from your guys?
For sure. I think our guys are really excited. I just got done talking to them. As much as we're excited to play on Saturday, we need to do a great job this week of being present today, and we need to focus on today. Saturday will come soon enough. We need to be present today, and we need to be taking in all the information today, and then go out and try to do it tomorrow. And so we're excited. Our guys have worked really hard, and so ultimately I want them to play really well. And so my job as the coach is to prepare them to play well, and them understanding Saturday's a few days from now. So let's focus on where we're at. Let's be present today.
On your right, Anwar.
Hey, good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
You've done a great job, obviously, of building up the roster, so you were able to have a lot of intense battles during training camp. But specific depth chart question, Coach, I'm kind of curious, who did you end up deciding that would back up Quinn between Malik and Arch? Kind of curious. You also had C.J. Baxter kind of being in the mix, and Malik Muhammad, Anthony Hill. I'm just kind of curious as to where those guys kind of fall in the depth chart.
I think one of the cool things about pretty much every position group that you talked about, that's why we practice throughout the week, and that's why that they come with a real intent to work every day. Malik and Arch, right now, they're both doing well, and so who do we feel like come Thursday is the guy that kind of earned that opportunity to be the backup this week. That'll be who the backup is. The running back position, the same. We got a lot of information to still take in here this first few ball games, and so that's kind of how that position is going to go. And the corner position really too. Like I said, we've got 4 corners we feel comfortable with in Ryan and Gavin, Malik, and in Terrence. And so for them to show us throughout the week that they're ready to go and who's ready to play, then we can decide and make those tough calls later in the week.
On your left, Thomas.
Coach, you've talked about the development of DJ Campbell over the summer. How's he going to factor into the rotation Saturday, and how would you describe his development?
Yeah, so he and Cole will be in there at right guard. They'll both play. And like I said, I've been proud of DJ. I think not only has he physically matured, I think that he's mentally matured. I think when you're in the fire a little bit more, you understand the stove is hot, and so you got to be prepared. And so, I think where he's gotten himself to is that he's earning the opportunity to play. And like I said, he and Cole will both get opportunities on Saturday.
On your right, Jeff.
This is your first preseason where you didn't have an ongoing quarterback battle after you named Quinn the starter in the spring. What did that allow you?
Feels great, by the way, not to have all these questions about it.
Yeah, so what did that allow you to do as a head coach, maybe for Quinn specifically, and then also maybe program-wide?
Yeah, and I think that for Quinn, obviously there's a sense of confidence for him, right? That's just natural. That's human nature. But I think it's allowed me to coach him differently where he's feeling like when I'm coaching him, it's coaching him to be the best that he can be and not feel like sometimes that I'm pointing things out that he's doing wrong and why is he thinking I'm doing something wrong and maybe can get defensive. That's anybody. That's human nature. When in reality, the whole time we're always coaching everybody to try to be the best that they can be and do it right. And so, but I do think there's a level of confidence. I think Quinn and I have gotten to a really cool space of communication and understanding. I'm able to talk to him about the minutia in plays and in defenses and things going on, and he's worked at it. And I think that he's earned those conversations, and in the end, he's applying them. And I think as an offense and as a team, we're reaping the benefits of that.
Program-wide, has it changed how you've been able to do it?
Ultimately, this training camp, probably more so than ever, I really focused on the entirety of the team. In year one, we were trying to install an offensive system at the same time too. Year two, I was trying to figure out who was going to be the starter. This year, knowing what Quinn was going to be and knowing we'd have a battle there at the backup spot, Coach Milwee, Coach Flood, that group was able to take a little bit more of the reins there, and I was really able to stay connected to the defensive side of the ball and on special teams. And that's just really a carryover from the summer because that's kind of how the summer went for me.
Stand far right, Ed.
Coach, are you embracing and are you enjoying embracing the high expectations for this team? As many people predicting Big 12 championship and maybe other things. Are you enjoying this? And seems like you're having a lot more fun today than you were 2 years ago in the same seat.
What are you saying, Ed?
I'm just saying you got a better team now.
I enjoy it. We all want to be on good teams. I think that's the nature of being a competitor, and that's the nature of sport. And I credit our staff, and not just our full-time coaches, but our recruiting staff, our strength and conditioning staff, our training room staff, our administration. Everybody's put in a lot of hard work just to get us to this point. And we're not a finished product yet. But it is enjoyable to know that, man, that group of guys that I get to coach every day, those are my guys. It definitely feels that way, and they respond that way. And I do think we're pretty good. We'll find out come December how good we are, but I think we're pretty good. Now we need to go play like it.
Back here on your left, Ryan.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you again. Last season, Rice averaged over 140 yards per game on the ground. This year, you seem to have some veteran leadership in Murphy and Sweat. Can you talk about that leadership not only in this game, but as the season goes on as well? Is that going to be a big, pivotal kind of team for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think from a leadership standpoint, a lot of leadership is about consistency in the way they go about their business, And, I don't know always that Byron Murphy needs a leadership from Sweat, or Sweat needs that leadership from Murph or Alfred Collins, whoever that is. But I know a lot of the younger players do. And so their level of consistency, their approach day in and day out, I think is important for the younger players of kind of what it looks like. It's easy in week 1, right? Where everyone's excited to play the first game. What's it looking like in 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, in November when everybody's bumps and bruises and sore and we still got to provide the same kind of energy and focus that's needed day in and day out. So I think we're off to a good start on that front. But you guys have heard me say it all along, man. You win games up front, and we need to be great at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And I think we've got a talented group. The key to the drill is them playing like it week in and week out.
The back middle, Jeff.
Hey, Coach, you told us a little bit about what you still have to learn once the games start. What do you already know that this year's team is going to be great or potentially elite at?
Well, I think we've got really good playmakers on this team, right? And so, I've had pretty good understanding who Xavier Worthy is. I have a pretty good understanding of J.T. Sanders, Jordan Whittington, A.D. Mitchell. I have a pretty good understanding of those guys. I have a pretty good understanding that Jalen Ford is going to find the football in some way, shape, or form. Now going through training camp, I have a pretty good understanding Jalen Catalon is going to find the football. So there's some things that you know, and there's some other things that you learn about as you go. And sometimes you learn about them in the first quarter or the second quarter. You just don't know. But the reality of it, there's some things that I know, and I think we've got some explosive playmaking ability. We have some guys that find the football on defense. And then ultimately the character of the team, I think I know, but we need to play like it. We need to play with fanatical effort. We need to populate the ball defensively, and we need to be electric on offense. And we've got to create explosive plays.
Back middle, Will.
Coach, when you sat down, you had a huge smile. Talk to us about why is it such a huge smile, and what is the vibe on the team? What are the guys saying in the locker room? Seems like they probably would have the same kind of smile you would have too.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I love football. This is the best time of the year, man. I mean, the fall is awesome. I mean, it's football. It's football time of the year, and I'm not the biggest fan of July sports. I mean, I can only watch so much golf on a Sunday afternoon. There's just not as much going on. So now that it's football season, I love that. Like, I'm a fan of football. I'm a fan of college football. I'm a fan of high school football. I'm a fan of the NFL. We've got coaches on the team. Their sons are playing Little League ball. Like that it's this time of year. So that part always kind of perks me up. But I like this team is fun to be around, and I think they've gotten to a point where they've really gotten to learn me and know me beyond just being Coach Sark, but kind of who I am. In turn, I've learned a lot about them. Like I said, this summer I've been really connected to them, so I've been around them probably more than I ever have the last 2 seasons. And I think this team generally understands, like, when we practice, we're going to work. But we can work and have fun. Like, this is called a game for a reason. And, we shouldn't have to work football. It takes a lot of hard work, but at the end of the day at 2:30 on Saturday, we're going to play. And we're going to play better because of the hard work that we've put in. And I don't question the work ethic of our team. They've worked hard all off season long. Now we need to prepare really well this week from the intricacies from a game plan perspective. But this is why we do all that we do. This is why they do 6 a.m. winter workouts in there. This is why they do the summer runs in 100 and whatever degree temperature. This is why we do training camp, is for 12 Saturdays in the fall to hopefully earn the right to play more games after that. And so hopefully we embrace this moment and enjoy it because this is what all the hard work's for.
In the middle, Roger.
Sark, you talked about embracing the hate. Did you ever think it would extend to the commissioner of your conference, whether or not he was playing to his audience? And I'm guessing your players might have heard that too.
Well, You're trying to get me in trouble, Roger. But I jokingly aside, but not. You know, I got a letter from the commissioner about sportsmanship the day before that speech, and so I'm trying to figure out, you know, about what are we promoting to our student athletes, and then to go say those types of things. So I'm not guessing he's going to have his Thanksgiving dinner with us the night before that game. But the reality of it is, you know, a lot's been made about that. A lot's been made about a T-shirt being made. Let's not make this more than it is, man. This is about us. We're focused on what we get to do and why we get to do it. We're proud to be part of the University of Texas, okay? We're proud to represent the burnt orange and white. We're proud to represent 550,000 living alumni. We're proud to represent 4 national championship teams. We're proud to get to go do that. And we know who's behind us, and that's okay. Now let's go play.
Sark, you talked earlier about playing to a standard. Well, does the standard change? Where is the standard for this team? And as a head coach, how cool is it for you to see guys understand what that is and day in and day out do what it takes to reach that?
No, I think that, you know, we have kind of things that we hold them to. Energy's first and foremost, you know, that our standard of energy has got to be high. And, you know, ultimately I think that starts with us as coaches. What do we bring every single day? The aggressive nature in which we want to play the game. We try to call it aggressively in all 3 phases. We try to play an aggressive brand of football. We want to be fast, and that's why we run the way that we run. If you ever ask our players how much we run in the summer, we want to be a fast football team. We want to be a physical football team. Yeah, we love running the football. We love populating the ball on defense and getting as many white hats as we can to the ball. We got to be tough. Right? There takes a mental and physical toughness to play to the standard that we want to have. And then ultimately we want to be smart. You know, we've put in a lot of work this fall camp on the special situations in the game. 2-minute, 4-minute, 3rd down, 4th down, backed up, whatever that is, red zone, 3rd down, all those things. And so playing smart in those situations is part of our standard too. So I credit our coaches and I credit our players for believing in that standard and then trying to work towards what that standard looks like.
Last one on your far left, Chip.
Steve, what do you feel best about regarding this team?
That we're a team. We really are. We're a team. And I think that we've got a great deal of connectivity, a great deal of love on this team. I think we've got a team that plays for one another. And that's the thing that I'm probably most excited about.